2.5 years after its initial launch on PC and consoles, Habroxia 2 has made its way onto PS5 for a free upgrade for anyone like me that bought the PS4 version, or you can buy it fresh out the gate. And since it's fresh and shiny and new for some people, I thought it was a great time to do a review on this game because it's an absolutely fantastic shoot-'em-up game. Geared slightly more towards the newer and more casualer shoot-'em-up, I would say, because it lacks that kind of endgame bullet hell craziness that quite often genre experts expect and demand from their games. But I don't think that's a bad thing. In a similar way to Souls games sometimes, shoot-'em-ups as a genre, the reason why I think it's quite difficult to garner new players is that everything is like, look at me, I've got 5 million bullets on screen and your eyes are bleeding! Habroxia 2 doesn't need to take that approach, and it doesn't. And I think we need to welcome games that allow new people into this genre so that they can pick up and enjoy things and feel like they're making progress and getting better at something, so that they can then choose to graduate onto the genre classics if they need to. Okay, off my soapbox, onto Habroxia 2, which is really why we're all here. One of the big things for me about Habroxia 2 is the way how it's non-linear, and I mean this like with so much of what's going on. Both vertical and horizontal shooting will take place. The game will switch that up mid-level, and I always like the graceful way how it takes over control of your ship and you gracefully glide from horizontal to vertical, and I'm like, satisfying. But from a non-linear perspective, you choose your levels in a non-linear way. Right after the first level, you start to have a branching pattern of worlds that you can go and discover and explore. And it reminds me heavily of the Darius series. R-Types, I think, did this as well, where you've got real branching out, where you can have 5 or 6 different playthroughs and barely have the same levels over and over again. Inside those levels too, you will also usually have a branching end path, which then allows you to have a different boss too. Again, very similar to those type of shooting games where if you stay on the top half of the screen, you go one way and bottom half the other. The same thing applies here with Habroxia 2. And that means that you have over 20 different bosses that you'll need to tackle when you get to the end of a level, but also a variety of different enemies too. And a lot of the bosses will have different versions of themselves too, and that will be down to the fact as to whether you're playing the original game or when you've completed it, New Game Plus, which is where the game really ramps up its difficulty level, and I think probably really where veterans of this genre will probably have most of their fun, because I think they'll find that perhaps some of the shooting patterns, bullet patterns, and boss move sets might not necessarily challenge them because they've been doing this for decades and are used to bullet hell craziness. Ship upgrades between each level are really quite crucial, and you earn credits through just killing things and surviving levels that you can then spend on the ship upgrades. And they kind of largely fall into 3 different categories. You've got things like improving your health as category 1. Then there's category 2, which is all around your shot power, and I actually ended up investing in this most heavily because it increased your fire rate and your shot power, but crucially also your shot spread. And because Habroxia 2 has quite a lot of levels that have scenery, narrowing down a lot of your levels, I found the shot spread to be really quite crucial for me in order to survive and do well. The third thing is around adding on additional weapons and power-ups that would then start to become regular pickups in your game. So there were bombs to be had, there's a laser blast in there too, which is quite handy, and then 2 passive ones around bubble shield and orbital shields. And the more you spend on those, the more powerful those things become, but I generally also then found the more regularly they would appear as part of my power-ups from all the different enemies that I was killing. There was another one too called a boost, but I kept forgetting to use it. I don't know why, and maybe that would have saved me quite a few retries because it is a one life and death moment. But your health is something that can be replenished and extended over time. Just don't smash into walls is basically what I'll say to that, and you should do quite well. There is also a special shot, but I have to say I barely used it. And again, like the boost, I think it's nice things to have to get yourselves out of very specific situations, but I found investing in shot power, fire rate and shot spread was the best way for me to go personally with my playstyle. There's also a story that you can pick up various pages of throughout the game and then read outside of the gameplay in the main hub, but I have to say I didn't really find it necessarily engaging, and it's a nice to have from a collectible perspective, but I wasn't exactly riveted and blown away by the story itself. Here the meat and bones is in the gameplay and the moment-to-moment fun of it, and Habroxia 2 more than stands on its own 2 feet with that. With branching paths and lots of upgrades to be had, you might be thinking that this could be quite a grindy game to play, but I have to say I never felt like I was grinding at all. Because there's so many different paths to find, and quite a lot of them are hidden, so when you're going through looking at like a second playthrough of something, look out for like cracks in walls and then try and bomb them, or shoot something specifically into it like a special shot that might blast open a wall for you to get in. Because that's where the secret hidden boss may well be. I was so busy doing all of that and finding new branching paths and then upgrading my ship as I was going that actually it didn't really feel like a grind at all, and I was just having great fun doing it. Outside of the original game and New Game Plus, where everything is twice as hard and more difficult to win, you then have Boss Rush mode, which takes the bosses from both original and New Game Plus and puts them into the mix. That's super tricky, never completed it, but I have a good time trying. And then there's Boost Rush mode, and this is the boost that I was saying that I totally forgot about during the game, being given its own mini mode where you're constantly flying at top speed, getting faster and faster and faster, going down ever-changing caverns, and it's like a reflex game where you're trying to work out how to dive your ship through the tiniest of gaps. That is, again, a one-hit kill, because as soon as you hit a wall, it's game over. And my god, it's hard as nails. It's like a proper retro 80s, like hole-in-the-wall style game on steroids. And again, I will never complete any of that. It's a good challenge if you want it, though. I have to say that I absolutely adore Habroxia 2. I really hope that there'll be a Habroxia 3 to make it a nice little trilogy set. But this is nigh on perfect for a introduction to shoot 'em up games for anyone who enjoys arcade moment-to-moment gameplay that's not designed to overwhelm you to ridiculous submission, but also enjoy that retro early 90s vibe where we're crossing over into the Mega Drive Genesis era of how well detailed and how much is going on the screen from a pixel perspective. But there's also a subliminal throwback to minimalistic 80s design here with me. It's as if we've got a Commodore 64 game being given a 16-bit makeover, and it just narrows in a nice little cute sweet spot that just ticks so many retro options for me that it gives me a big grin on my face when I play it. There's also a pretty decent chiptune soundtrack hiding away in the background. For me, Habroxia 2 has all of the hallmarks of being one of those gateway games that allows people to experience a genre without it having to be cranked up to 11, that's going to throw you around like a rag doll and say like, I told you, slaps you around the face with a wet fish type thing. This is about making something more accessible to the wider masses, whilst also staying true and integral to what makes this genre interesting and unique and fun to play. And so I really hope Habroxia 2 continues to convert new audiences into retro arcade shoot-em-ups. And hopefully there'll be a Habroxia 3 too, because I really think this is one of the most promising new IPs that's come out in the shoot-em-up genre for quite some time. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.